Welcome to Indy 5 here on Rauta, and this time we're gonna do it really quick, or at least attempt to. First, we go to Finland, and this one is called Tyhjä, which means empty. It's black metal, it's grim, it's cold, it's fast tempo, and unfortunately very inhumane. Not that inhumane black metal would be a bad thing, but this one is unfortunately lacking the so-called dynamics, not to mention organic feeling with the sound. Very cold, grim, simple, fast tempo, almost machine-like. Now, these guys have the idea how to do grim black metal, being very cold and somewhat killer riffs too. But most of all, it's not really killer stuff. It gets very repetitive after a while, and unfortunately, this is rather like demo in progress. Not exactly mediocre, but not there yet. On their way to make decent stuff. The second one comes from Russia. It's Megalith Levitation. Very weird name for a band. And to be honest, I was expecting totally something else than doom sludge metal. This is Acid Doom Rites, and it's the debut album by this band. Being very new to the genre, that is very new to the new band after all, it's no wonder that this album is not that great. To be honest, I find it less than mediocre. But first of all, let's take a look at this fine Digiback. As you can see, this design is pretty cool. In fact, it promises you so much more than what this album is actually able to pull it off. 76 minutes. Wow, that's a lot for a debut album, and unfortunately it's way too much with the length tracks. Now at shortest it's about 11 minutes, and it's lengthiest, it's more than 20 minutes to track, and it's too much. It feels like this album has like one or two riffs, and then some guitar leads, and that's it. Now, doom metal is often saved by very good vocalists. Think of early, I don't know, Swedish or British doom metal, and you will find those very, very talented heavy metal, doom metal vocalists, which are just able to pull it off with their, great vocal range and skill. Now, unfortunately, this one has very monotone, clean vocals, and it's like, hey, it's boring. Some parts are all done with kind of a raspy black metalish type of stuff, and it really doesn't work with this one. I'm unfortunate to say that this is one trick pony. Basically one riff, some guitar leads, and the rest is just repetition ad nauseam. Cannot really recommend this unless you are a doom metal fanatic and you want to have it all. But what's next? Third one on this Indy 5 is a little bit different than what you usually have here in Rauta. This one comes from Finland and it's called Velvet Ocean. As you can pretty much figure out from the cover, this Purposes and Promises is not exactly extreme metal. It's so-called alternative metal, released on 7th of February 2020 by Helsinki Records. This one is female-fronted, well, melodic metal. I don't know if alternative metal actually means anything. One once said that if you ever heard bands like Evanescence and Within Temptation, you're pretty much at home with this one. Unfortunately, this band is far from being of that mainstream global quality. First of all, the music is not exactly very good. It's very, very mediocre. The songwriting is just kind of a, let's put it this way, they kind of understand of what these bigger bands are made of, but they lack the talent to make those hit songs. The second thing is that while the female vocalist is, kind of nice with her tone and all, she doesn't have the charisma and skill, not yet anyway, to be compared to those bands mentioned before. And as a result, this is very mediocre release in the female-fronted alternative melodic metal stuff. If you're a big fan of Within Temptation and Evanescence and the like, maybe then this might be your cup of tea, but other than that, cannot really recommend to anybody. It's just what it is. We'll keep going in Finland with the fourth album as well. This one is Concrete Icon. It comes from my home city of Turku, Finland. This one is the second full-length album. It's called Rancid Harmony. This one is death metal, and one could even say kind of a mid-tempo American style. A little bit kind of a technical, definitely somewhat hard to grasp kind of a curvy death metal. is something that is related to bands such as Morbid Angel, Incantation, and whatnot. It's more on the mid-tempo rather than anything else, and it tries to come to people with the kind of atypical riffing, being kind of a sinister in nature, but a little bit failing at that. And while it's not exactly heaviest band on earth, it kind of has this heavy feeling, that combined with melodic riffing and whatnot. So it reminds me a lot of not only 1990s American style of death metal, but also Swedish death metal with very much of those melodic lead guitars. Unfortunately, the band has lost its grooviness and somewhat catchy parts what they used to have before. So, mediocre plus. Not exactly bad, but still not something that interests me after a listen or two. Maybe if you're a big fan of those styles, you might want to check out. The last but not least on this Indie 5 is Medentyneen Jumalan silmä, which is roughly translated as the eye of a rotten god. This is a Finnish black metal band, everything in Finnish, and this is the second release, first full-length album. A few years ago I heard this band, and while it had some potential, it didn't quite blow my mind, so to speak. And here we have this not so much self-financed, but released by Astral Nightmare Productions. I don't know if it's the label of the band or not, but here you have this basically nondescript cover, and then some Finnish lyrics. This title is kind of a lengthy. Ihminen saastaa, maailma palaa, vesi sataa tuhkille, which is basically like 3 different titles for this album. Ihminen saastaa, man is filth, maailma palaa, world is burning, and vesi sataa tuhkille, water is raining on the ashes. So kind of a self-financed vibe, but it seems this is now on label. Basically, I like what the band is doing here. It's raw, it's grim, it's cold, it's kind of a filthy, it's lo-fi, it's raw, it's unforgiving. But there is something that kind of goes the wrong way. Mostly, this is just decent black metal in those terms which I just described. But some of those riffs are more like filling the gaps. That is, the band actually was a little bit better when they was releasing their EP, which was more kind of intact, more into the point. This is just going to off places, off-road if you will, whereas some of those riffs are really, really nice, being really cold, grim, cold again, dark, sinister, and all that stuff. Something that I think will make this band more promising in the future. Now they have the potential to become something more interesting, but they are not there yet. Obviously, you're gonna make up your mind by listening to those samples online, but I wouldn't bet my money on this blindly. This is all from Indie 5 right now. Be sure to check out those links and comment if you have any questions or opinions about these releases. Until next time, take care.